Welcome to Volleyball Dads Podcast with my boy Spurge.
Sets and hits. All right, we got my boy Dave starting kicking us off.
Yeah, we got a special guest today. I will let him introduce himself and tell us a little bit about his background and what he does and who his daughter is. So without further ado, we'll give you Jason Robinson.
Oh, how you doing, brothers? Appreciate it, man. Finally getting on here, man. Y'all some busy boys, man.
Well, you like family with the last name Robinson, but we're not related, but we cousins from another.
There's a lot of greats when it comes to the Robinson. You know what I mean? But yeah, man, I'm just an average, humble guy, man, with a great human being for a daughter who's been blessed to have some great opportunities with this volleyball thing, man. So yeah, man, let's get into it.
All right. Well, man, tell us a little bit about you, though, first. I mean, we know we're going to learn about your daughter here in a second. We're going to get her in there. But just tell a little bit about what your background has been from a sports perspective and then some of the things that you're doing training-wise, et cetera. And then we'll talk about who your more famous, talented daughter is.
Well, for one, my background is more basketball than volleyball. I got started in volleyball when Jaden actually got into volleyball. So, but I played professionally overseas for 14 years, played D1, all that good stuff, right? So my basketball career was great. You got to expose the family to a lot of things. I've got to learn a lot of things outside of the United States, which was, I think it was life-changing. And then coming home, seeing a need for certain things development-wise and, things that I've learned as a professional and things I've educated myself upon, starting to work with kids in the neighborhood, after school programs, stuff like that, spreading out all the way from here in Missouri City to Pasadena, just working with different types of athletes, football athletes, basketball, volleyball, some track, some baseball. So took all that, and now we doing sports performance training. Been doing that with Skyline specifically the last 3 years. And the last 2 out of those 3 years, they've been number 1 in the country. So I'm not saying that we have a big part of that, but we have some part in that.
Here we go. Here we go, throwing that in. That number 1 in the country. Here we go.
I mean, we just got to throw that out there. You know what I mean? But I mean, that's to me, that's cute and all, but my job is to educate these kids so that when they do get to college, they're not deer in headlights when they see things in the weight room. So, we do train a lot, right? So what we do, we train pretty much from January to July until they go to nationals. We have maybe 2 weeks in there in May where we have a rest period, but we still got kids in the gym during that period. So it's dope, man, to see so many talented athletes, but also see the difference in work ethics as well. We got a lot of kids that say they want it, but they got the work ethic of a damn plumber. So, it's just fun to see, right? I've been exposed to a lot in these last few years with Skyline specifically. I've learned a lot over the years with different clubs and stuff like that. So just knowing what works for these kids and not really caring a lot about kids' feelings or their parents' feelings. I care more about the results and how your body is responding. So Dave, I mean, you know how that goes.
Yeah.
So
I was going to ask you when you mentioned that in training in season, do you train them differently off season and in season?
Absolutely. So we change the volume, we change the load depending on the season. Preseason and off season, we like to load them up at least 3-4 times a week, 3 times minimum. But it varies, right? We will start our top of the week with a heavy load on the lower body, and then we'll go with the upper body the next day, and then we'll do a full body plyo session where we're not only working the legs, we're firing off on the upper body. I think a lot of athletes in volleyball specifically don't protect their shoulders, and they overlook just trying to get a certain vertical touch and stuff like that. So vertical touch is dope. I mean, that's cute, but that's a lot different than you're playing vertical. So Just breaking things down like that for different athletes. And I train athletes from college all the way down to 8 years old. So it's just a matter of how much they want to apply to themselves.
Gotcha. And you say, the last 3 years, I know you've been working with specific clubs or different environments. What new things have you put in place for training? I mean, have you new tools? I mean, Vertimax has been a big thing. I think some people have looked at, et cetera. Is that a good tool, or you just are the basic things that you've been able to finally put in part of your program? And then do you tailor to each athlete? Now, I'm assuming some of these questions are yes, but I want to
Yeah.
hear from you actually.
So with Skyline specifically, we have one Vertimax in there, right? I don't use a Vertimax unless I have two teams, but I'm typically training at one time during one session. I'll typically have no less than 4 teams in there at once,
Okay.
right? So it's like bang, 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 bang. I'm keeping everything at a flow. I'm not really concerned about using the Vertimax at that point, right?
Okay.
It's about being efficient. But for our smaller groups, when we have 1 or 2 teams in there, yes, the Vertimax is very important because I can put literally 5 kids on one Vertimax.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
So that's pretty dope. But as you get into this thing a little bit more, you'll find out that you can do a lot of things similar to the Vertimax without the Vertimax.
Good. That's good to know as well. That's good to know.
Yeah.
Like, shoot my daughter over there.
Come on, man. Come on, man.
cousin.
She needs me, bro. She needs me. I'm trying to tell you. She needs me, man. Now we do a lot of rehab stuff with girls.
That's good to know.
My niece who came in there, she's been out for about 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks with a partially dislocated kneecap. Right. And it happened in one of the tournaments, non-contact type of thing. She was just trying to change direction. Boom, popped out. Right. So rehabbing that thing. She's been doing stuff 3 times a day, coming up to see me, just getting range of motion work, and now she's finally cleared. Right. So imagine that, and a kid going from 100 in the weight room to not being able to touch a weight and not being able to move. So I don't really focus on the load per se, right? I focus on the imbalances in the kid and what we need to focus on to get that kid stronger. So yeah, man, we do it all pretty much.
Excellent. And I won't get too far in without just telling us a little bit about your daughter as well. And then, we're going to circle back around because a lot of parents may not know who she is, but tell us a little bit about where she is, where she's going, and we'll
How
talk.
you got started in volleyball, man?
Oh man, so we didn't actually get started in volleyball. I started my kids off in golf, soccer, tennis, gymnastics, basketball, and then the last thing she picked up was volleyball. But I wanted to expose her to everything at an early age. So when it did come time to choose, she was able to say, okay, I want to really play this one. And I didn't get exposed to volleyball. Of course, I've been around it from college, but I really wasn't into it. I didn't get exposed to it until she was about 9 years old. We were watching one of my nieces from San Antonio at tournaments at George R. Brown. And just to think about what it was then and what it is now, please, you can't even walk through George R. Brown when they got a tournament now. It's shoulder in that thing. It was, 9 years ago, it was wide open in there.
Wow.
So, to go from that to now, and then JJ's experience, of course, we know, and people in the city know, she's worked her butt off to get this opportunity to play for University of Nebraska. She wasn't always at the top. She wasn't always one of the better players in the country. And that's fine. I actually preferred it that way because now she goes into college and she understands how to work. And she understands that you got to work your butt off to get on the floor. And she wants that. So her choosing Nebraska was not, it wasn't one of those things where that's my dream school.
Right.
It was never that. It was, I want a place to where I can grow as a woman. I can compete on a daily basis and have a chance to gain a great degree. I can get great resources for life after volleyball.
Right.
So that's the things that rolled into recruiting for us. not
You, you,
slide off.
you mentioned, and I want to do a deep dive with you on that because when I hear kids getting in the portal, you touched on it just a second ago, like the growth component.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and again, people learn from others. I don't want to call them mistakes, but life lessons, right? And
Mm-hmm.
to figure out the questions that you ask going into the process.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously, with you playing at a high level in college and then overseas, like how did you prepare her in asking the questions when all the different schools started reaching out to her and figuring out what would be the best fit, but also playing at a high level and getting that degree as well?
Well, what was dope is both her mom and I both played Division I basketball, and we met in JUCO. So we've been through the recruiting process. I've had a nephew that played at the University of Idaho who's playing professionally now overseas. So I've seen how it was then, how it was now.
Mm-hmm.
So forming our questions for these colleges, it wasn't like we had different questions for different schools.
Right.
We had the same 10 questions for everybody. But
Right.
from those questions, we formed pros and cons lists. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So things that didn't add or didn't match up to what her needs were as an individual, we
Mm-hmm.
we took them off the list. Right.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't a thing to where as well that where she went in and she said, I have a top five.
Right.
She didn't have a top five. Now,
Mm-hmm.
actually, during the recruiting process, what's unique about her experience, she didn't do the summer camps.
Mm-hmm.
She didn't do any summer camps. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
she went to one camp, and that was right before she went to the U19 tryouts.
Mm-hmm.
And that was just because she wanted, again, to compete. She wanted to be in a gym full of athletes that were high level.
Mm-hmm.
So um, just the recruiting process in itself, we kind of slowed it down. We took notes off everything. We did video on everything.
Mm-hmm.
And we didn't take more than 4 calls in a day. We had a
Mm-hmm.
time limit where they can call,
Mm-hmm.
and a window where if you call, you was automatically off that list. And I made that extremely clear to Amy. Like all that 12 o'clock stuff
Yeah.
where they say, "Oh well, we gonna call." No, you're not. Call
Right.
my house at
Right.
a forgiven hour. You gonna answer to me. You're not gonna answer my daughter.
Right.
So, but luckily enough, we didn't have those things happen. Everybody was respectful, and I loved it. For us, the recruiting process wasn't a difficult or a stressful one. It
Right.
was,
Right.
and I think that attests to her mom and I, and our experience, and knowing what direction a lot of these programs want to go. Like we didn't necessarily make her decision based upon one or two things. We actually looked at a lot of rosters. We paid attention to coaching styles. We paid attention to how coaches are active in the transfer portal. We paid attention to tradition,
Mm-hmm.
cultures. We paid attention to all that, right? So those are things that rolled heavy in her decision.
Mm-hmm. Understand that too. It's funny because we're talking to parents in the recruiting process too, and it's good to know that you have your list, you have your questions. I think that's important for them to do. Are there certain things in your question, like your top two question? What was fundamentally most important to you? I know it's going to be different for other people because some people want to just go and either jump at name or jump at a conference, or they want to maybe they might
Location.
like a certain coach, right? So
Location.
yeah, or location, right? And people talk about these different things. I know
Yeah.
your experience may be different, but what was the most valuable thing I think that I would say that you tried to focus, or Jaden tried to focus on when she was doing this recruiting and interviewing?
There was one main question that I had for a lot of programs, and that was, if my kid gets hurt, she blows out her knee, and she's not able to play volleyball anymore, is she good? And a lot of them couldn't really give it a straight answer.
Wow.
Yeah.
But those that did, I mean, it was honest, right?
Wow.
Got some good responses, got some bad responses. I mean, it is what it is, right? It's the nature of the beast. But my thing is life after volleyball.
Yeah.
That was my focus. It wasn't what you can do for me in those 4 or 5 years. Everybody knows all these programs, right? So that's
Mhm.
not hard to figure out. I want to know what she can get after that. I want
Okay.
to know how well she can be if she gets a certain degree or whatever like that, or she works the community and all that stuff, and she builds these relationships with great people. How can that help her
Wow.
grow as a young lady in this world when volleyball stops? That was our biggest concern.
Right. Wow. I mean, that's good to know. And I think those are important questions. And I like to, I think about the, because kids get hurt, especially this transfer portal, right? In this era of anything. We can talk about NIL, but,
Yes, indeed.
people are transferring out when they get injured or coaches are forcing them out when they're injured. That is a very good question, I think, as well.
Yeah.
Just something to look at because it happens, right? We see all types of injury with high talent. I mean, we look at Juju Watkins, right? Same thing.
Mhm.
Out, top of the world, probably best player in the country. You look at it, and it's like injuries happen.
Yeah, and
And
she didn't commit because of a coach as well. That wasn't a focus of ours. Yes, Coach Cook is a legendary coach, but do you see Coach Cook there now?
Right.
Right,
yeah,
and that wasn't a thing that was out
that's
in the
true.
open to where everybody knew he was going to leave. Yes, we knew he was going to retire at some point,
Yeah,
but we didn't think it was right now.
Right.
So having that play in, we weren't really thinking about a coach. We were thinking about an overall program, right?
Right.
And what that tradition is. Now, if you look at a school like Nebraska, I mean, it's steady.
yeah,
So one, you're gonna compete like hell every day in
right.
practice.
Yeah.
The culture is gonna be a winning environment. They're gonna
Hmm.
push you outside your comfort zones,
Hmm.
and they're gonna hold you accountable, right?
Hmm.
Highly
On
competitive too.
on and off the court, they're going to hold you accountable from day one, right?
Hmm.
So they have all these amazing resources to the point to where if you if you get off track, that's on you.
Right.
It's not because of the program, and I love that about them. When we went out there, it was a total 180 of the experience that I thought she would get, and
Right.
Wow.
it was dope. It was dope.
Hmm. Parents, one other thing too for the interview process, you say you were a part of it as well. So tell me what you mean when you're a part of that interview process. Are you in the room with the interviews with your kid, or is you having your kid do it separately and then they call you in? I mean, I just kind of want to get a feel for just different approaches and styles that you may have thought that have worked best for you to
Yeah,
the outcome you wanted.
we're big on independency. So I had my GoPro set up in there, and we were not in the room with her. I let her do all the interviews by herself, door closed, say what you
Hmm.
feel.
Right.
Uh, I'm big on not holding her hand. So I haven't even been to a volleyball practice of hers in the last 2 years,
Okay.
um, because she needs to grow. Mommy
Yeah.
and daddy ain't gonna be there. So you gotta learn how to form your words,
Right.
get your thoughts together, and speak clearly.
That's sure.
So that's been a process of ours over the last 2 years, not just with just the whole recruiting year, because we knew what she was about to get into, of course. So
Hmm.
no, we didn't sit in there. We just set up a camera. Afterwards, we had a meeting for about 15, 20 minutes. She had sheets of questions to answer, that she did for each school. And she kept everything in a folder. We reviewed everything after like the second day. We reviewed everything that was in that folder. And we came up with our list, of where she wanted to go.
Okay. All right. And was it a toss up? I mean, was it close, or was it like, oh, this is the obvious one? I'm just curious. I mean, it's like,
It was pretty close, right? I'm gonna tell y'all like this, man. It was never a definite decision going in. Um, it was a thing of rosters,
uh-huh.
the thing of coaching style. It was a thing of when I close my eyes, what do I see? Kind of like just getting off into your imagination, picturing what you see in the next 4, 5, 6 years, whatever.
Hmm.
Um, so her decision wasn't Uh, it wasn't easy, but it also wasn't hard because, like I keep saying, she wants an environment that's not super competitive. I mean, Spurs, you know her firsthand. She wants to have girls around her that are like-minded individuals.
Right.
She wants to be pushed. She doesn't
Right.
want nothing easy, and that's a testament to what she's been exposed to. since the age of 4, I believe it is. So I've had her running hills at the age of 4, almost getting the police called at because we out in Houston in July at 1 o'clock in the afternoon running
Oh
hills.
yeah, brother. What you doing?
So, but that was during my playing days. So, she just wanted to be around dad.
Right.
So I'm sports. I'm all sports
Right.
guy. So if you want to be around me, you're gonna have to go to the gym. You're gonna have to go to these workouts. You're gonna have to do everything daddy do. So she
Right.
was with it, man. She was with it. And now I think everybody is understanding why those things played a part. So she wanted to be around a competitive environment, somebody that's gonna push her. Um, she did not really care about location. I mean, if you look at it, Lincoln, Nebraska, there ain't nothing out there in Lincoln, Nebraska.
Right.
But it's got just enough to keep your interest and your
Yeah.
motivation at a high level, right? So she's going to play in a packed house every night. She's going to play, and she's in a great locations because she's right in the Midwest. So it takes her equal time to get east or west, which is great with the amount of traveling the Big Ten has to do. My God.
Some conference alignment, something else.
My gosh, I mean, I get it, but I don't get it at the same time.
Right.
So, I mean, but it is what it is, man.
It is what it is. Yeah, but you're right. Being the Midwest goes up out as well. That is a lot.
Will she go to school early? She gonna go to the
Yes.
spring? Okay.
Yes, she'll be in school in January of 26.
So-
And that was her decision.
Okay.
We didn't push that upon her. When we actually talked about it first, when she brought it to the table, her mom and I thought that it would be advantageous for her to take advantage of that because that helps her focus on the school first. Yes, they'll be playing some volleyball. Yes, they'll be training, but it won't be the regular season schedule where you're flying all over the country every week. You're having 2-3 games, right? So it's not that strenuous. And then we also want her to stay for 1 or 2 summer sessions. The idea is for her to graduate in 3 years. And in the 4th year, she's in that master's program.
Gotcha.
So it's
those are the questions you definitely ask, and make sure when you sign your paperwork, it got all those years on there.
Yeah, it's kind of like if you know anything about Duke in North Carolina, they kind of do the same thing with their men's basketball programs. They make it mandatory where the kids stay and take summer classes. It's not so much mandatory with Nebraska, but damn near all the girls do it. So
most places they're
I think
doing
it's
that now because they don't want them to take a harder load in the fall. So you knock your spring's tougher, and then you go to both summer sessions. Which, if they're allowing you, a kid would be crazy not to. I mean, there's nothing at home, so
exactly.
You know what I mean? So take full advantage of that. Like you said, get out in 3.
Yep.
You got that degree, and not only that, what we're seeing is, I mean, just yesterday, young lady had already graduated Baylor and decided to take her graduate year because she hadn't played 4 years yet, and she transferred to Wisconsin. So it's a lot. There's a lot of different ways you can play it. You gotta. I say take advantage of the money while they're giving it to you.
Yeah.
So that's good that you guys are doing that. That's smart. I've always been on the fence about going in the spring. I was like, you got your whole life to be grown, but then revisionist history. I was like, well, you probably should have. And like you mentioned, go there, you start training, start going to class. So I mean, there's no right or wrong answer to that.
Yeah. And it's going to be different for different people, but you're right, because, we think about that sometimes too. And, you say, oh, you're right. You missed your senior year. It's a fun year. It's your last semester, but I think if you have the flexibility to come back for prom, you have the flexibility to come back to graduate. I'm more concerned with kids skip graduation, right? Or skip proms, that kind of thing. To me, it's just like you never get those big milestone things back, right?
Yeah.
Right.
But you can always come back for them. And I think if you have a conversation like you've had in up front with the coaches, and if they put the player ahead of just pure volleyball, I think they would do it, right? It makes sense to them as well. And we've talked to coaches too, right? They want kids to enjoy their being a kid and do the milestone things. It helps with their, if we talk about mental health a lot.
Yep.
And that's another big piece of it. We think that's important for them as well to find the right environment.
Yep.
That's cool. Well, good, man. Other things is talked about is just like, has been club volleyball life, right? And we talk a lot about, that and that season and getting in there and interaction. And because I think I'm gonna say this, you're in a unique situation because you're training kids. They're also on teams and you're also the sidelines. I see ya, my boy.
Yeah.
Filming and doing everything else. And the parent dynamics sometimes I say it's so different because I deal with it too. Now, Dave lucky, he's out of it. But I'm dealing with just different expectations with parents and coaching. And it's funny. Everything, kid, people always talk about, don't talk about playing time. Everything at the end of the day comes down to playing time. Your kid ain't playing, that's a problem. And so it's fun. Coach want to get away from, but that's always going to be. Hey, I got to train more so I can play. I got to, transition fast so I can play.
Yeah.
I got to serve better so I can play. It's funny how coach said, I don't talk about playing time, but everything just comes down to playing time. Because guess what? Coaches want to see you play.
Yeah. So, well, all these kids that I do train, I try to leave coach in the gym at these tournaments. And when I get to these tournaments, I'm dead. But one thing about me, when I'm at these tournaments, you won't see me besides the volleyball games. You won't see a lot of me. I'm not the one that you're gonna see in the lobby at 12 o'clock. I'm not gonna come in the gym.
Telling us, Dane. What you talking about? What's wrong, Dane?
I'm not there.
Trying to,
I'm big on
one volleyball dance.
you do what you do, but there's no judge here. But I once I realized the path that Jaden could go down, right? I didn't want to do anything in my power to put a bad name tied to her in any way, because I know the perception of we're gonna take it there. I know a perception of a black man with a successful daughter.
Oh, yeah.
Right. So, and when we first got started in this, there was a name tied to me that I was an angry black man. And I don't know how that happened. I don't know who wanted to make
the
that
Robinsons, up. Man, not the Robinsons. Come on, man.
I don't know where that came from, but
Jason,
it was what it was.
That's life in it, brother. And
right.
The unfortunate component, and this just from living. Everybody not going to be happy. You know what I mean? And so everyone's not going to appreciate the presence of someone that's involved and engaged and who cares about his daughter's well-being. They're not used to seeing it. And so because you don't allow the BS, they consider it an angry black dad. And that's not what that is.
Right.
Yeah. That's just a concerned dad
that's a caring black
present.
Dad, it's a concern like that.
And because the presence is there, you automatically assume that that's a negative thing because that's not the norm or hasn't been the norm, so to speak, which we totally disagree and have debunked that from the beginning, because every dad that I see on this screen and around the place and been in different gyms, I see plenty of dads. So that's not the thing. And so someone asking a question is not making someone angry. You just want to know what's your process, what's the game plan, and that's it. Like you say, you're allowing your daughter to be independent, so she knows how to ask questions and stuff like that. So when she faces any adversity, because adversity will always happen, how she's going to deal with it. So you can't do nothing about what they say. Hell, they talk about me. I'm sure they talk about birds. You know what I mean? And it's kind of like
this volleyball cheerleading dad.
Yeah,
I don't mind it. I don't mind it.
Everyone's experience with you is different. Somebody might have had a bad experience.
I'll just throw this out there, just to let y'all know. I've seen more angry other dads act a fool on the court than I've seen us. I've seen people do crazy stuff that are not black.
But the crazy thing is that there's some people that criticize or talk bad about dads like us, but there's also ones that there's a lot of people out there that respect and
Absolutely.
love what we
Oh,
do.
yeah.
Right. So
Absolutely.
I have parents
Absolutely.
come up to me all the time at
All the
clubs and
time.
like, man, coach, I really appreciate what you do for these girls,
Yeah.
because it's not only about lifting weights with me.
Nope.
I've been down the road that all these kids are trying to get to,
Yep.
right? Whether it starts in middle school, whether I was this fat, chubby kid that didn't hit his growth spurt and was the last man off the bench, or whether it was my senior year where I'm all American, this, that, and the third, right? Or let's take it to another side where you get kicked out of school because you're not handling your business,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I've been on all sides of the spectrum, at the
Mm-hmm.
top, and at the bottom of the bottom, right?
Right.
So it's my job now to make sure these kids know what they're getting into,
Right.
both with sports and with life, right?
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
I give these kids a lot of talks in our sessions,
Right.
and a lot of those talks form when they're 13 years old.
Yep.
And I'm trying to mold these kids as if they're my own, right? I'm holding these kids accountable when they come in my gym. There's a certain respect level and a certain attention to detail that I need, so that we, one, don't injure ourselves, and we, two, we educate ourselves,
Yep.
right? Because once they get 14, 15 and they're in high school, then you'll have these different high school programs that literally are destroying these kids body wise,
Mm-hmm.
because they don't know how to properly program,
I know what they do.
off
Just
season, preseason, regular
Yeah.
season,
Right.
postseason. They don't know
Right.
how to change things up.
And that's why, outside trains have been helpful even for my daughter in her rehab and stuff like that, because we notice, you can see the difference, right?
Yeah.
As well and stuff. But to get back to your point, you're right. As a dad on the sideline and paying attention to your kid and pushing them to do the most. And we all see extremes. I've seen dads that like try to coach from the sidelines that they ain't work, dude. I try to calm them down, but they do it. Then I've also seen, where coaches make decisions and judgment. We've had a coach on here just say, hey, yeah, I choose my line. You ain't mad at me when I'm doing XYZ day. Now you mad because it's XYZ day,
Yeah.
and things
Yeah.
like that. But you're right. The biggest compliment I just take away from all is that, y'all both know me. I'm right by the ref.
Hmm.
And I'm cheerleading like crazy. I ain't never said nothing disrespectful to a team. Having fun with the parents like I did with you, Jason, the other day. It's
Hey
like,
man, you should have left Jaden alone, bro. You should just
I was
let a
trying to
sleepy
not
dog
mess with her.
die.
I'm trying to mess with you.
She was trying to take it easy, man. You said something to me, and you woke up.
I woke her up. No, she just did Jaden. That's what she did. But it's good to see these kids play. But like I said, my point, when the ref comes down to the thing, he said, hey, man, you're great because, you're always energetic. You're positive to all these kids. I was like, yeah, we can be down 20-5 and whatever. We
Yeah.
kids
It's
got to be ready for the next set. We just,
it's
we
it's
just get
it's
ready
more
to go.
so I
Mhm.
think it's more so about putting your personal feelings to the side and just really supporting these kids' journeys.
Yeah, yeah.
Not
And they
all
all be
these
different. Yeah.
not all
that
these
comes with
kids' journeys are going to be the same.
that comes with
Um,
maturity.
right, right. I mean, if you're going to cry over a loss,
Yeah.
then how you gonna celebrate a win,
Right.
right? How you really gonna appreciate a win? Like, as a parent. Now, I'm not talking about a child,
Yeah.
because my daughter still cries after losses.
Yeah.
But I tell her with that cry, if you're gonna cry, let it out, and as soon as you're done, we're done with it, and we're moving on, and we're learning from it at that point. So as a parent, I don't want to display. I want to try to be even keel as a parent. I don't want to display no high or low emotions. I'm going to
Exactly.
hold you accountable even in wins, right?
Mhm.
So I think a lot of what I do now is kind of perception. If you look around, you'll see a lot of these dads, getting out of pocket and doing the most. It kind of looks like they're searching for attention in a sense.
Mhm.
And I'm not big on the attention. I have my day. It's not my time. It's my
Right.
daughter's time, and I want to let her enjoy everything without the distraction of dad, without the
Right.
distraction of mom. I'm going to celebrate you like crazy. Let's not get
Mhm.
it.
And you're supposed to.
Oh yeah.
You gonna know I'm in the building every time,
Yeah.
Exactly.
right? But
Exactly.
So, so
I'm
I think a lot of, and that's the thing, because you celebrate her, I think that's where a lot of parents, I mean, it's a very weird dynamic in this volleyball world, man. I've noticed. And so, you probably get on a talented team. I'm sure that y'all probably have had anybody would be crazy to think that it's all peaches and cream daily, right? And so you probably got egos, and then you may have parent egos. Um, and it's like, how do you manage those things? Because at the end of the day, it's about the kids, and the kids got to manage what they're doing on the floor, and then the parents got to stay out the way. And that's always easier said than done.
Yeah. So it goes back to what I said in the intro. I don't really care about your feelings. I don't really care about your egos. I don't care about none of that. One thing we're gonna do when you walk through those doors of that gym is you're gonna hold yourself accountable, and you're gonna come in with some respect. If we can't do that, we're gonna have a problem fresh out the gate, right? And I don't mean to say that in a disrespectful way. It's not anything like that. It's how I was raised. For one, I come from a military home. My dad is big on respect. He don't really care about your feelings at all. So I've kind of taken that approach now. I've kind of lightened it up because it is girls at the end of the day. But at the same point, I have a job to do, and that job calls for high results. So if you come in talking about, well, you said this to my daughter and said this to said that, I'm gonna tell you exactly why I said that, and then at
Right.
that point, it's up to you to deal with it. I'm not gonna sit there and go back and forth with you. Now, if you want to have a sit down, my number's always open. My office is always open. But with the egos with kids, I think it's big to establish what your expectations are from day one.
Yep.
You're gonna have to go through pushback. You're gonna have to go through disrespectful times where the kid just doesn't want to do what they're supposed to do. That's cool, right? At a certain age, I'm not walking you down this road, right? When they hit 17s, or especially when they're in 18s, I'm not gonna hold your hand, right? Because when you get to college, you're gonna have a decision to make.
Yeah.
Are you gonna do the work, or are you gonna get pushed to the back burner? Are you
Yeah.
gonna work your butt off to get in the rotation on the floor, or are you gonna be on the sidelines cheering everybody on? You might as well have some pom poms, right? So getting them to understand that from an early age, and then at a certain age, separating myself in a sense to where they have to figure it out on their own. I'm perfectly fine with that, right? And if a parent has a problem with that part, then I'm more than happy to have parents watch our sessions and watch their daughters in action. When we go through things, we don't just put things on the board and say, "Hey, go to work." No, we demonstrate every movement. We tell you specific reps and set counts. We give you a time limit on how things are supposed to be done. We give you your rotations through stations. We have things flowing, right? So if your kid is choosing not to do things, I'm gonna one tell your kid that you're slacking, right? And when you get to college, especially with this high level team that we're on, if a
Right.
kid is choosing not to work and they know they are going into a competitive environment, what's going to separate you at that point? Your talent? No, absolutely not.
Nobody telling you.
Everybody you see is going to be all American. Everybody you see is going to be top whatever in their class, right? And then on top of that, you're going against grown women as a freshman. So you're coming in 17, 18 years old, and you're going against 22, 23, 24-year olds, sometimes older than that, 25 and 26, depending on the transfer portal.
Right.
Right? So how you gonna manage that? You just gonna say, "Oh, whatever I did in high school was good enough"? No, ma'am, absolutely not. Right? So when they're 15, the interesting part is when they're 15 and 16, I start programming them based upon their college expectations. Right? So if a kid comes in talking about, "I want to train for this, I want to get my vertical up and all this," I say, "Cool. Well, what do you want to do for volleyball after high school?" "Well, I want to go to this college." "Okay, cool. We're gonna work for that." And if they can't be consistent at that, I don't want to hear it. I'm gonna tell their parents, right? Your kid is inconsistent. I need more consistency out your kid, especially in the summertime when you want to take 10 vacations, but then you expect your freshmen to have a chance to make it varsity. It's not gonna happen. Not realistic, right?
Gotcha.
And even my kid didn't make varsity as a freshman. It wasn't because of her talent. Um,
I
it's
would say high school coaches don't know what they doing, man. It's a whole nother subject, brother.
It's a whole nother. I could talk about high school sports like crazy, but we ain't gonna do that. We ain't gonna do that.
Touch on it. I mean, that's a perfect example, though. Honestly, like that is a perfect example of a highly talented kids where coaches don't know what they're doing. Whether they can't that in Texas is really big or bad, where it's a lot of seniority
Yes.
You know, just it's not about ability, but it's really seniority driven, and you're not
Yes.
always playing the best players.
Yes.
So I trust me, I get it. I know.
Yeah. But we also know high school is not the catalyst to college either.
Yeah, but
So, you
you
know,
know this kid has a high ceiling and is better than the people you're playing in front of now, regardless of how raw they are.
mhm.
But and I get it. Okay, so you may look at it from perspective. Then you got these booster clubs and who
Mhm.
mama doing
I mean,
this and who daddy
yeah,
doing that.
yeah.
Mm.
And
I get
unfortunately,
it.
they treat volleyball different than football, right? In football, you're not going to have as much of that problem. But you're going to have it in like these sports now that emerge like volleyball and people don't pay as much attention.
Well, I wouldn't say that, Spurs. I wouldn't say
Yeah.
that.
You see it in football too?
There's a huge issue in high school athletics as a
Well,
whole.
yeah. Yeah.
Um, and it varies depending upon the community that you stay in.
That's true. That's true
The
too.
politics
That's
within your
very true.
neighborhood, the
Yeah,
politics within your neighborhood affect a lot of decisions on your sports team.
that is true. And then with this movement too, I mean, we get all the way in high school because I think that, high school's dynamics about to change too. As much as we've seen some stuff in college, I just think that coming down the pipe with these kids and
They're going to allow transferring
transferring, yeah, it's going
in
to be
high
interesting.
school.
But aren't they already allowing transferring? I mean,
Well,
Mm,
yeah,
you got kids that
a little, you gotta be,
I mean, come on now. If we're gonna talk about that, be honest about that one. But
well,
yeah,
yeah, I'm
I
just
kind of
saying,
call.
but
I,
UIL is going to really allow a transfer now, like where you're
yeah,
not like you had coaches literally redline and say, oh, this kid moved for this purpose, and then get it all tied up. And
Mhm,
then they'll allow another kid to go play for their said mother at
mhm,
another school after they
mhm,
played for them for 3 years. And this coach is leaving the school. So, no, man. I mean, it's like you say, the politics of it
yeah,
at the high school level is crazy.
it's gonna get crazier.
Or them playing kids that you know this kid is going to go play at a high level, and you're still restricting them for
yeah,
whatever reason.
yeah,
We said that we watched y'all play in the playoffs not year before last.
yeah, yeah,
Remember y'all were doing something with a setter, and I'm like, her lineups are weird. And then Jaden come in, blocks, did some stuff. I'm like, all right, so and then the other setter, I'm like, all right, because I'm like, y'all had no business losing a side fair, I believe.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I was like, so that's coaching decision making. And then obviously she was gone the following year. And I'm like, yeah, that just wasn't bright. And so, obviously when people start to tell us now, I'm like, look, we've watched enough of the sport. I kind of know, like, if you looking at the game, who should be in, who shouldn't be in,
Mhm.
and stuff like that. I'm not telling somebody what to do their job, but they're human beings, and human beings make mistakes.
Right.
Human beings are not without flaw and error.
I
And
think it's I
I
think
don't.
Go ahead, Dan. Finish.
And that's I saw. I mean, so I've seen it. And I'm just like, okay, what is she doing? And I'm like, she not coach. We were talking. We were like, she's
Yeah,
not coaching to win.
yeah.
Like,
I think it can work one of two ways. I think I've always looked at those type of situations as my glass is half full rather than half empty.
mm,
So with Jaden not making varsity as a freshman, and she was one of those kids that went in thinking that she was going to make varsity.
she should have
I
made it.
She should have, yes, but I knew it's Texas for one. So as
Yeah,
a freshman in a public school, you probably not going to make it. Two, I knew my neighborhood. I knew what has been transpiring with that volleyball team 4 years prior to. So I've seen everything.
right.
So knowing that, I kind of knew that she wasn't going to make it. Now, would she get called up for the playoffs? Yes, of course. But she still wouldn't use, right? So going through that and then having a role as a right side or opposite, whatever you want to call it, instead of her natural position, which is outside, I think that kind of helped her grow as a player, though.
Mhm.
Right. So we didn't take it as a negative. We took it as, hey, you got an opportunity to get some playing time, get a lot of reps,
Right.
use JVs for what it is, and grow from it. And then
Yeah.
that next year, you leave no data at tryouts and you kill it. Right. But that all propelled her into club season.
Right.
Right. And her 15th year was like the coming out the closet type thing. It was like she started the year slow, but as the year progressed, she got better and better and better and better. So using high school and the adversity that was faced from her from freshman year all the way till now, It's been dope, man. I think it's only helped her grow because now it doesn't phase her.
Right.
Now she's able to go into any environment and compete with anybody and not doubt herself at anything.
Also made her more valuable. You say playing opposite, I mean, it just made her more valuable. I mean,
Exactly right. So
more
I'm
positions.
big on being more than just one dimensional. If
Right,
you can
right,
if you can do multiple things on the floor, that means you got more opportunities to play, right?
right, right.
So and then knowing her competitive fire, I presented her with the challenge of being one of the most dominant blockers at the net as a pin. Now, I
Keep you on
present
the floor, baby.
I presented that challenge her sophomore year,
Yeah.
right? And now I think she holds the record at Ridgepoint for blocks, one in the season, and then she still has next season. But I think that opened her eyes to that competitive fire. Oh, I get to go against the number one team's hitter or the team's number one hitter on the opposite net. Okay, cool. I want that
Yeah,
challenge.
yeah,
Whereas
yeah.
a lot of kids, if you know these kids, a lot of kids don't want that challenge.
Right there, yeah.
Um, on that side, on that part of it, they'll go against it offensive to defense, but they won't take the challenge defense to offense. So knowing that and knowing her fire and know her athletic talents, of course, I think it's only helped her to be on that right side. Now, of course, she wants to play outside,
Yeah,
but
of course.
um, learning how to play on the opposite and learning from now, she gets to learn individually from who her role model was with the sport,
Right,
Jordan Thompson.
right.
Um, she's had one-on-one interactions with Jordan. She's been blessed to, be side by side with her in the gym. So learning and being exposed to things like that, and knowing Jordan's journey and
Mhm.
my daughter's journey. It's kind of similar to the adversity that they had to face first off, but seeing where it could go from that adversity, if you look at it and you face it differently, is dope.
Yeah, yeah. That's a good message too. 'Cause I think a lot of parents don't realize like the more diverse or more skilled their kid is, the better opportunity for them. And you're right, and take those different challenges. I was speaking to a parent the other day and realistically about his daughter's middle, and it's like, well, they don't get set enough. She don't hit the ball. She can hit it down, etc. I said, I want you to back up because I put Dame in the back of my mind. I said, the term is middle blocker.
Hmm.
Said
Hmm.
she should be focused on blocking everything at the net first. So don't worry
Absolutely.
about if she's getting hit or set, because a lot of variables coming at you and all know as we play volleyball, good pass and all that help whether you get middles and get set. But I said one thing she can control is blocking.
Hmm.
She
Yep.
can be the best blocker while she's out there and make a difference. That's what that people are going to be looking for. And it's funny, you're right. Reframing like, okay, glass half full. What else are you doing? You worried about hitting and
Hmm.
scoring. How about blocking? How about
Hmm.
transitioning
Hmm.
faster? Those
Hmm.
are things that would make you people be like, oh, because I
Yeah.
guarantee you, if you blocking like crazy as a middle, oh,
Yeah.
you're gonna get noticed.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Yeah.
versus more so are you how much you're scoring. So I think that it was fun to have that conversation with me. It just reminded me when Dame, you say, hey, there's also blocking as part of this whole metric. And you're just looking at
Yeah.
how many times my daughter getting set. I'm like,
Yeah.
first of all, you
Yeah.
never get set more than outside.
Like if you're playing on a stack team, especially club, and that
Mhm.
rolls over into college, if you're playing on a stack team, you can't expect every single ball. It's not going to be even distribution either, right?
Yeah.
So learning how to do more with less is a valuable thing. The
Yeah.
higher you get up in this game, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's kind of similar to basketball.
Hmm.
Um, if you play on a great team with five great starters, right?
Hmm.
There's only one basketball to go around.
Yep.
Hmm.
So either you figure out how to rebound, how to play defense, how to be
Hmm.
a great passer,
That
how to
shit.
be a great communicator on the floor. Like there's
Mhm.
so many other facets to the game that you can be effective
Mhm.
at that can have an impact on the game, right?
Right.
So knowing those things with basketball, man, it translates right over to volleyball.
Exactly.
It
Hmm.
translates exactly over to volleyball.
different games, different times. Sometimes it calls for different things, different matchups.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's your day. Sometimes it's somebody else's day. We all know
Yeah.
the outsides take out the trash. I mean, if you're out of system a lot, that's just kind of what it is. So,
Yeah.
but when you do get it, you know, you have to have a coach say, hey, when you get a good pass, you make sure you go middle. But then also you get those dynamic setters that can still figure out how to get them involved because they know it opens up the pins as well. And obviously, the more balanced teams, I use Nebraska, they're very balanced. So you can't focus on one thing. You don't know if they're coming back, you don't know if they're coming to the middle, you don't know if they're coming to slide, the right side or left side. That's where coaches are going to. So which is why a lot of these colleges are wanting, you still want middles that can put it down when they have the opportunity. But blocking is they'll tell you all the time, like when you're going through it, you know, we're talking to schools like, hey, in your class, you know, you're blocking, blah, blah. So when you notice that, and if you can take over a game and control a game at that net,
oh yeah,
I've seen it.
they're
I've,
gonna,
I've,
they're
I've
gonna
seen
figure it out.
teams. I've seen teams game plan to avoid her side at club.
Absolutely.
And that to me isn't a disrespectful thing. That's just the ultimate respect as a player.
When you know they're tipping or they're going another way, you know that's respect.
Yeah. So I've seen them like literally the set will be right there and the set will be perfect for the right side. They'll push that thing all the way to the outside.
Yeah, because
They
like,
want to
oh, you know
avoid her
what?
at all costs, which I think it's an ultimate respect. She used to take it in a negative way. Like, why aren't they setting the ball in front of me?
They're avoiding you.
Baby, they're giving you the ultimate respect.
Man.
They're changing their whole game plan to avoid you.
Yep.
Right. So once she understood that and how the impact that she could have, I think that kind of set her apart from a lot of pins around the country.
Oh, major, big time. You don't have nobody with that length and the hop. Nah, that's key. And the fact that you got her to buy into that. A lot of kids, that's the thing. Like, that's what I said about the parents. They don't buy into, like, all right, well, what's going to be the differentiator?
Yeah.
It's like in hooping, like you say, every kid can score the ball.
Yeah.
Pat Beverly averaged damn near 40 in high school in Chicago.
Yeah.
You wouldn't, but what got him in the league? That boy was after he left Arkansas, head in the, like, I tell people all the time, like, every dude in the league was the man at one point. They can all put up 40 if they need to. I promise you. People be talking, cats be talking crap. There's a lot of dudes that ain't never hooped. But I'm like, and they call it such and such story. I was like, bro, ain't none of them dudes sorry. I mean, you have a little bit of politics, but I say, I promise you.
Yeah.
At your best, you couldn't see it. Right? And that's just the truth, man. These dudes are fundamentally sound. What they did was they wanted a job, and they said, hey, what is going to separate me from the next person? Because we can all score the ball. Right? It's how consistent can you be at doing it? And that's the differentiator. Like in volleyball, everyone can have a good game. How many good games can you have consistently? Right. And that's the differentiator between a lot of these kids. And then, you know, I mean, there's a little bit of politics play a little bit. Yeah, of course. You want to be on the good side of it. But at the end of the day, when they come see you, you show up. And that's at the end, or when you're having a not so great game, how you handle that. Like,
because you're gonna have that too. You're gonna have that.
And they don't expect you to be. They come to see you against top teams, so how you compete.
And they watch you. They watch your
attitude. And they'll bring it up in your recruitment. They'll talk to you about. You'll have people that will break down some teams that you played. You know, hey, I saw what was that about? Was this rivalry? I'm like, you're going against blah blah blah. And they'll ask you those kind of questions, and so. You learn as you go through the process, and you mentioned that, you know, when you're starting off at whatever age, and then as you get up, you realize, okay, what not to do, what to do. Like Spurs, you know, he had to learn, leave the refs alone.
Not mess with no refs, man. 15, 13,
over there tugging at their dang coattails, man. Hey, ref, I need a call, baby. I need
a call, dog. Give me one.
Hey, man, come on now.
No, man.
Leave them stripes alone, man.
No, they hey, like I said, the best benefit I get is when they tell me they appreciate me being on sideline and cheering and making good thing. I tell every ref, hey, good game before and after.
Yeah,
I
think the refs. I think for what it's worth. I mean, we all at one point we've all criticized refs, but I think the refs have a hard job to do, man. It's a bang sport. That ball coming off some people's hands at 70, 80 miles an hour. I mean, it's a lot to
It's a
watch.
hard thing, man. And
Um,
like I said, even the judgment calls, net calls. Sometimes I miss. I'm
right,
like, oh, somebody's on net. Matter of fact, sometimes I can't even tell which way the ball went down because it's
right,
coming. I'm like, because they go
right.
outside and inside. It's like, it is what it is. But hey,
That's
before we
awesome.
let you go though, too, um, we appreciate your time. But is there
Absolutely.
anything that when you look back on it, saying maybe I could have did that differently or would have did something differently? And I looked at it from the perspective where a parent would look at whether it's a recruiting process, and we talked a little bit about on court stuff and antics. But is there anything that you learned from? I'll put it that way, from going through this process that you would want to share to another parent?
Again, every journey is different. Um, every player's experience will be different. I think if we get away from comparing our journey to the next, whether it be social media or kids just talking, parents talking, whatever, if we get away from that and we just actually enjoy the ride, I think we'll be a lot better off. I think a
Mhm.
lot of people are putting expectations on their young athletes at an early age to be this great Division I player, and you see a lot of them burning out at an early age, and I think that doesn't get talked about enough.
Mhm.
So I think as parents, um, we can yes, we can hold those kids accountable, but make sure you're letting your kid be a kid for a little while within that process. Everybody sees Jaden on the grind all the time in the weight room, private sessions, whatever. Yes, she's always in the gym, but we have gaps in there to where she can hang out with friends. She can go out to eat, doing all these other things, being a normal kid, because they have to have that time away from the game. It can be overwhelming. If we think about how much they're playing in club versus how much they're playing in school, it's damn
Mhm.
near 4 times the amount of games that they're playing in club, right?
Mhm.
And then you get into the whole recruiting phase where you have kids that are paying attention to what's going on around the court, as far as who's at the games, who's watching, who's sending me emails and stuff like that. Like, if they want to be real honest, we didn't know Nebraska was gonna offer Jaden a scholarship. We had no clue. They just sent out general type emails, right? So don't my thing is, don't have your eyes set on one individual school. Have your mind open to every single school at every division, every level. No school is too big, no school is too small, but you have got to be honest with, one, who you are as an individual, two, who you are as an athlete, and what your journey should look like. If you have an understanding of that and where you want to go within the next 5, 10, and 15 years, you'll be fine, right? But we've got to start mapping out things. We can't be unrealistic and say little Jenny that's 5'8", playing outside, is gonna go to Wisconsin or Florida, or you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah, yeah,
no,
yeah.
she's not. Like, let's
Right.
just be honest with our kids up front.
Yeah.
And that's perfectly fine. There's no knock on that. Now, if she's out here with a 48-inch vertical, then that's a whole different ball game.
Right.
Uh,
Right. Right. Yeah. We get
but
it.
for the most part, we just got to be a little bit more honest with these kids, and two, we got to hold them accountable.
Mhm.
I see a lot of kids that come through my gym that have these lofty expectations, but again, they can't. They have no work ethic, right? They'll
Mhm.
show up for a month, and then after that month, I won't see them for another 4 or 5 months, and then they're like, "Well, coach, I didn't get the results." Well, you don't work,
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
You're
Microwave society, baby.
right.
Mhm.
But then I'll have some kids that are literally working their butts off going to these lower level schools,
Yeah.
right? And those are the ones that I truly appreciate because they get it. They might not be going to all these big name, top notch programs, but they're gonna work their butts off, right? And they're gonna get every little bit out their body that they can. And
Yeah.
that's a big thing that I tell these kids. You only got so many jumps or so many serves or so many passes in you.
Yeah. Yeah.
One day it's gonna stop.
Yeah.
So why can't we just get everything we can while we can? Right. And I think the more we move forward with it, I think a lot of parents are understanding now the importance of sports performance,
Right.
and doing things the correct way. Right. I think the misconception with a lot of girls is that they're going to bulk up be this manly type figure.
Mm-mm.
No.
That has a lot to do with your DNA. If your DNA don't say that,
Right.
don't worry
Exactly.
about it. Now, if your coach know what he's doing, you ain't gonna have these big old traps to where you look like you.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It ain't
Yeah.
gonna work like that. But
Exactly.
you will see a change in your body, right?
Yeah, you will.
And I think the misconception of that, especially in women's sports, is what we're battling a lot, to get these high level athletes in the gym earlier than what's needed. Now, some of them will start working at 17, 18. But just think if they were working at 12, 13 years old, not necessarily just pumping out weights.
Yeah.
Resistance bands. We're working on your body, doing hill routines, in the sand, getting a change of direction stuff, right? Strengthening up your body on the under layer, right? The ligaments and tendons and all that stuff, focusing on that, the quick twitch muscles, right? If we break those things down for these kids, I think they'll be a lot better going into college. There's a lot of kids' bodies shutting down on them, and it's not necessary.
That's true.
And their nutrition.
Yeah, man.
Yes, my God, I'm tired of seeing these kids eating whole hoagie sandwiches and
Oh, yeah.
Chick-fil-A every other minute. You know what I mean? And parents going to get them all this fast food. Man,
Uh,
I tell kids all the time, you can work like a workhorse in the weight room, but as soon as you get out the weight room and you go eat all this fast food or all this soul food that your granny done cooked with all
yeah.
this sodium and stuff in it,
Yeah.
you're gonna be worse off. So
True.
just educating kids, man, on the whole thing, nutrition, the mental health part of it. I have a lot of kids. I think a lot of parents will be surprised that I have a lot of kids come in and just want to talk about the stress that they're going through.
Yeah.
And it starts early, man. It really does. It really starts early. Starts around
Yeah.
12, 13.
Yeah.
Start comparing themselves.
That's the biggest deterrent when they
That's
start
a
comparing
that's a
themselves
big
and
piece
start
of it
looking at
too.
others.
Yeah,
Social
man.
media is we didn't have that. So
No,
they're
no. We had to
looking
look
at
to the USA
everybody's food.
Today.
Man,
No.
Right?
We couldn't do this here and look up all the rankings and all that.
Exactly.
We didn't
All
see the
that just run
highlights from
through it
little
and stuff.
Johnny and little
Who's
Timmy. We
where?
had to
Who's
go on
doing what?
YouTube.
Yeah.
Right. So we had to actually see it up close and personal. So by the time
Yeah.
you seen that person, you didn't know what the scout was. You
Yeah.
didn't know what the person's tendency was. You had to sit there and watch.
yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So I mean, times have changed, but I think the mindset and the work ethic should not have changed at all. And I think that starts in the home. Us as coaches, we can say what we want, but these conversations these kids are having when they're in these hotel rooms with mom and dad, when they're on the ride home from practice with mom and dad,
Yeah.
those are the things that can either help you or they can
Yeah.
hold you back. And a lot of parents hold their kids' hands until they leave
Oh,
college.
hey,
Yeah.
listen. My advice to a parent: the kid has already experienced it. When they get in the car, don't talk about it unless they bring it up.
Right.
You know
Right.
what I mean? Just
Right.
don't even bring unless they bring it up. You don't bring it up because they've already played it and experienced it. They know,
Exactly.
especially when they're a little older,
Yeah.
the mistakes they made.
Yep.
All that. Still need to hear from you. And again,
Yeah.
that comes with maturity
Yeah.
and growth, and you understand that. It's like, you know
Yeah.
what? They don't always want to talk about volleyball. They
Yeah.
want, hey, what's, I learned a long time ago, like talk about other aspects of their lives. And if they bring it up, then okay, you travel
Right.
down that road. Otherwise, because they live in it. Like you mentioned, they going to all these tournaments and all these practice stuff, like they're
They
living that.
seen it, and they friends with them. They meet them through social media and stuff, and and then like I say, we certainly see that social media also all of it's not true, and
Yes.
so you gotta
Hell no.
filter out the BS and the rumors and all this AI trickery we even do. We do even just even as adults see some of this stuff, and I'm just
Yep.
like, it's
What
hard to maintain and stuff. But you're right, keeping that balance, I think overall understanding work ethic and it's got to be there and stuff like that are things that I think you preach and stuff, and we appreciate the time as well, my brother.
Yeah, man.
It's been good,
We could talk for
and
hours.
man,
yeah,
I'm
we talk
telling
for hours and stuff like that, and then we'll say we won't be back and talk again. We'll at some point in time we will get the young ladies on. There was a group, as you know, Jason, of with my daughter, yours, and a couple others that have always had this little friendly bond across each other. And I enjoy that so much to know that even though they went to different teams sometimes or different things, that when they see each other, they're like, sisters, because they were there when they were 13s and 14s together, right? and going through that and just seeing where all of them have progressed to, right? And different challenges and stuff and been successful. And like I said, we're gonna see them all in college here in a year or two. We're gonna watch Dame's daughter next year, as we say, in at Tennessee too. And it's so good to see how these girls and young ladies have evolved. And I say girls, but young ladies have evolved and seeing opportunities that we provide for them. But on behalf of volleyball dads and all these dads, how important it is for dads to be a part of these young ladies' lives. And that's where, the spirit of this podcast has been, but also
Absolutely. Yeah.
an outlet for us to kind of share that, being involved and looking out for the best welfare of these young ladies is just as important. Having good role models is just as important too. As these girls get older, because then they start dating. That's a whole nother subject I don't want to talk about right now. All that comes into effect, like focus. No, it's good. But we'll see. But hey, we appreciate it as well, man. And we thank you for coming on me and Dame. We love this for it. Hey, Volleyball Dads Podcast at gmail.com. We tell everybody to email us as well. We got sponsorship coming cool soon, right, Dame? We got somebody.
Yeah, we need Prize Picks. We need FanDuel.
There we go. Plug now. Come on now.
Yeah, club. Hey, we need Love Basketball. Come on.
Come on. Plug them in. Come on.
Right.
We need them all.
Come on now. But we appreciate y'all. We're on X at V-Ball Dads. We're on Instagram. Dave's got it on YouTube, right?
Yeah, we're on YouTube. So this will be on YouTube. So we'll share it. Make sure you share it out to your people.
Yeah.
It'll be up probably within the next 4 or 5 days.
Yeah, 3 or 4 days. 4 days. Yeah, we'll get it all pulled together and ready to grow. But we appreciate the time. Volleyball Dads podcast. Hang out with us. We'll be seeing y'all. Thanks for tuning in, and thank you. Appreciate you for everything you've done, Jason, and continue to do your thing. Good luck to Jaden. We know we love her and stuff because she's been, like I said, I've known her since she was 10, I think 12?
12, man.
Yeah. So, and just to see how much she's grown as well. So
I appreciate y'all, brothers, man.
Yeah, man.
All right, man. I'll let you.
All right.